Governor-elect Dan Malloy has seemingly not stopped since the election, planning, traveling, transitioning. Here to talk about the transition and the inauguration is Colleen Flanagan, and from Connecticut News Junkie, reporter Christine Stewart. Thanks, both of you, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So, Colleen, I know that both Christine and I were in D.C. last week, and we ran into the governor-elect there. He has said repeatedly that he's going to spend a lot of time there. Talk about why that is.
Absolutely. Well, Governor-elect Malloy has made no secret that a big part of his job as the governor, when he takes office in January, will be having an open line of communication between the office of our representatives and senators in Washington, as well as his here in Hartford. So he went down there. He had some meetings with some cabinet officials, Secretary Arne Duncan from Education. Obviously, he talked to some transportation officials, and President Obama himself. He got to have lunch with a bunch of other governors-elect, as well as sitting governors, and got to talk to the president about some of the issues that he'd like to address as well.
And that's specifically because he feels that we've missed out on certain things?
I think he thinks we can approach getting federal funding in a different manner. I think you're going to see a very activist governor in terms of getting on the phone, talking to folks down in D.C., making the trip down to D.C., pounding the pavement, making Connecticut's case in a way that I don't think you've seen in the past.
Interesting.
So talk a little bit about how exactly the transition is working. I mean, we keep saying this word transition. And so this transition, he has a 22-member transition team, which got expanded earlier this week. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Governor-elect Malloy and Lieutenant Governor-elect Wyman announced, I believe, 2 or 3 weeks ago, their transition team, which includes a steering committee, which sort of oversees the process in its totality, a policy committee, and a personnel committee. And then on Monday, we announced working groups. So there are 12 working groups on everything from education to human services, healthcare, transportation, all of the issues that folks in Connecticut want action on. And they will be working to really solicit a number of different opinions from a vast array of folks. Some people who agree with Governor-elect Malloy, some people who don't, just making sure that we increase opportunity to share people's thoughts and their opinions and ideas with the team. And then that will be obviously turned into budget proposals and legislation and whatnot.
That's a lot of different groups, a lot of different people contributing. It's kind of like, I don't know, kind of a boil of ideas and people. Where does that come from for him?
I think Governor-elect Malloy, as you both know, and as the folks at home know, knows what he knows and knows what he doesn't know, and knows what he wants to ask more questions about and learn more about. And I think that soliciting opinions from a number of different people on a variety of different issues is going to be the way that he governs. He is going to be the one that makes the decision at the end of the day, but you're not going to have someone who shuts the door and says, I know what I know and I don't need to know anything else.
Interesting. I also, you had made an announcement that he was going to conduct this national search for commissioners. Talk about that. I mean, some people, I think, are saying, don't we have good people here in Connecticut that he could turn to?
And the answer to that is obviously yes. We do have a number of people who are qualified and talented for these positions, and he's not excluding anybody. The Department of Environmental Protection, Transportation, Education, and Social Services, he'll be expanding those searches to candidates from across the country. But if people in Connecticut feel as though they have the qualifications and experience necessary, we invite them to submit their resume and credentials. We have a website up, transition.ct.gov. There's an email address on the website that folks can email their credentials and resumes and cover letters in, and our intake team is taking all of that and making sure we have a plethora of resumes to choose from.
I mean, does that have job listings per se up there about what you're looking for? Or?
Nope. We're looking for the best and the brightest. There's really a number of jobs that are open when the transition happens, actually on January 5th. It's everything from commissioners down to folks, like myself, who are spokespeople, and everything in between. So we really are just looking for people who are active in public service and want to get involved in a behemoth task of getting the state back together.
So what's a day like in the life of Dan Malloy right now? I mean, is he, meeting with his chief of staff on a regular basis? Where is he going? What is he doing?
I think the easiest way to describe a day in the life of Dan Malloy is that there is no one day in the life of Dan Malloy. He has been waking up very early, obviously, driving from Stanford to Hartford for meetings, interviews with reporters. He has made it very clear that he wants to be very accessible to the media and to the public. That's been something that he did in the campaign, and that's not going to change when he's governor. Meeting with potential job applicants for commissioners. For example, he named Ben Barnes and Joette Katz for 2 commissioners already. Meeting with his Chief of Staff, Tim Bannon, and really just getting ready to hit the ground running on January 5th. It's less than a month, believe it or not, and he's got a lot to do.
So how long is he going to re-employing these policy groups and working groups? And I mean, is that going to bog down the process of him making decisions? Or?
Absolutely not. He actually gave them a time frame, a very narrow time frame. I believe the recommendations from the working groups to the policy subcommittee chairs, there are two of them, are due, I believe, on the 13th or the 15th of December. So very, very quick turnaround. And those are going to be given to the policy chairs, which will then review them and make a presentation to Lieutenant Governor-elect Wyman and Tim Bannon, the Chief of Staff, and then obviously Governor-elect Malloy. So there's really no grass growing underneath anybody. We know that there's not a lot of time and a whole lot to do.
And we only have a few more seconds, but there are more tickets now for the inaugural ball.
We had 1,750 tickets. They sold out very quickly. There are more tickets available. You can go to ctinauguralball.com. There will be plenty of tickets there, and it's really going to be a great night.
Oh, okay. I understand. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. We have 3 minutes left, so let's keep talking about that. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's been a lot of, first a Democrat in office, so that must have generated a lot of interest in this inaugural ball. Tell us what we can expect there.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be the Connecticut Convention Center. It's the evening of January 5th, so that's the day that he and Lieutenant Governor-elect Wyman are actually sworn into office during the day, and then at night the governor's foot guard, its tradition, is the one that puts on the actual ball. So everyone coordinating the entire event. The doors open at 6. The event starts at 8. There'll be a ceremony of sorts. We're still working out the details on that, but lots of dinner and dancing and really just getting a few hours together with friends, old and new, before really the work starts in earnest.
So what about, do we know if there's going to be a parade yet? I mean, I know that Governor Rell's parade 4 years ago generated some attention.
I'm not sure that's the kind of attention we want, but we're still working out all those details. So hopefully we'll have some more details for folks in the next couple of days. But there has been, like you said, an outpouring of support in terms of people who just want to be part of this. It is a very historic day and night, and we're very humbled by the outpouring that we've received, particularly for Governor-elect Malloy and Lieutenant Governor-elect Wyman.
You know, I mean, I know you've been involved in Connecticut politics for years now. How different do you think it is going to be for the average citizen to have a Democrat as a governor?
I think it's going to be less different to have a Democrat as a governor and more different in terms of having a governor who is very engaged in the process, who, as folks who follow the campaign know, Governor-elect Malloy has very strong opinions and he's not afraid to voice them. And I think that sort of leadership is something that people really want and really have been looking for. He's surrounding himself with very smart people and people who aren't afraid to say, you know what, I disagree. I think we might do this. At the end of the day, it's Governor-elect Malloy who's going to make the decision, but he's happy to hear opinions from those around him. So I think we're going to have a very different, active, all over the place, on your TV, at your events kind of governor, which will be great.
Sounds very busy.
Yes.
Thanks, Colleen, for stopping by.
Thank you.
Up next, we're going to continue our discussion of how much Governor-elect Malloy has on his plate as he takes office in January.